Hey guys, this is your host, Franziska Weinheimer, and welcome back to the Hikers Anonymous podcast. On this podcast, I help share people's inspirational stories about how hiking, backpacking, and the outdoors changed their lives. If you have an inspirational story about how the outdoors positively impacted your life, please send a short synopsis to hikeoregon@hikeoregon.net and put in the subject line podcast guest. Today, I'm talking with Riccie, who was horribly abused by her father, and she spent much of her childhood fearing for her life. Due to this constant state of terror, Riccie became severely depressed and began overeating. She became morbidly obese, the weight a physical manifestation of the emotional load that she shouldered, and eventually she turned to drinking. At the age of 21, Riccie moved to Oregon, and a few years later her sister joined her and was her saving grace. To hear more about Riccie's incredible journey, keep listening. I just want to hear about your story and your growing up, your childhood, and kind of how it all began.
Yeah, so I kind of had a rough start. I was born on December 21st, 1990. And a week before that, my biological father died of a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and then 2 years passed. My biological mom, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia, killed herself.
Oh, wow.
So I was kind of an orphan by the age of 2.
Wow.
And then what happened is my uncle, so my biological father's brother, adopted my sister and I. So I'm fortunate that I got to stay with my sister. I kind of was raised out in northwestern New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a double wide, out in the boonies.
I guess since you kind of lived out in the middle of nowhere, was there nature that you went and explored as a kid and stuff like that? You spent a lot of time outdoors?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, something about New Mexico is the monsoon season. So, during August, the rains will come, and I lived along a dirt road. It makes everything muddy, super muddy, and almost like river muddy.
Right. So you're not driving anywhere during that time.
No. And if you are, you're slipping and sliding and sometimes getting stuck.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So as a kid, you went and played out in the mud and had a lot of fun and stuff like that.
Lots of bare feet, running through the mud, running over the hot sand.
Yeah.
We had a little grove of these trees called Russian olives.
Okay.
And they smell really musky, and they're kind of a shrubby tree. Do you know about them?
I've probably seen them down there, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, they're really sharp thorns.
Oh, gosh.
So we had a little grove we can kind of go into.
Yeah.
And it was my job to catch crickets for the salamander that we had as a pet.
Nice. Are you and your sister close?
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of transpired in your life that kind of led you to discovering hiking?
Okay, I would say I did Girl Scouts whenever I was younger. I was kind of a morose kid. I had emotional problems, so I never really enjoyed hiking whenever I was younger. I was just ugh, this sucks. And then so after that, I grew up and sort of became obese, morbidly obese because of my emotional issues. And I didn't really do much movement because I got really into studying and reading and writing and doing good in school. Yeah. And then one day I went to school in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is 3 hours away from where I grew up. And one day I came home for a visit, and my younger sisters and I have 3 younger sisters, including my older sister who is adopted with me. Okay. So my 3 younger sisters and I went on a walk along a canal, and then Jessica, my just younger than me sister, she was very pregnant at the time. We were walking along the canal, and it was kind of like a 4-wheeler track, and she decided to go up this really steep hill to the side that led to the top of a mesa. Yeah, and she ran up it. And she was
pregnant. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I saw her do that, and I was inspired. And I was like, if she can do that, like super pregnant, I can do it. I was like 200 and maybe 60 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, but I did it. I got up to the top of the hill, and once I was at the top of the hill, I felt like I want to keep doing this, and that was awesome. The beginning of my love for hiking.
That's amazing. So you moved to Oregon when you were 21. What brought you to Oregon?
What originally brought me to Oregon was a suggestion by one of my college friends. She said that she was going to go to school here.
Okay.
I should go to Oregon, and I had nothing going for me, so I was like, oh, okay.
Okay. So you just decided to up and move? Because Oregon is so different than, obviously, New Mexico. What did you initially think about it, and what did you love?
Well, I got here during the fall, and what I loved about it was the colors and the trees.
Yeah.
In New Mexico, fall is like a 2-week season where everything just turns brown, and then the wind comes and rips the leaves.
Okay, yeah, yeah. How has the outdoors kind of shaped you as a person? And I guess, when you moved here, did you kind of start hiking regularly, or how did you get into hiking here in Oregon?
Okay, I would say I didn't start hiking regularly whenever I first got here. You know, like yourself and a lot of people, I kind of had addiction issues. So drinking kind of took up more of my spare time than hiking did.
Yeah.
I think that as time went on, I lived up here and I grew older. I worked at a goat farm, and that was kind of the beginning of my, I just met some people there who were like really into the outdoors.
Right.
And showed me, you know, this is how you harvest nettles, this is how you harvest huckleberries, this is how you find chanterelles.
Amazing.
And so just kind of meeting new people as I lived here, it sort of just took me away.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of shifted from that drinking lifestyle more into nature, living with the outdoors, being one with nature, and kind of doing that. Yeah. Very cool. Through that, you kind of discovered local hikes and stuff like that. Is there like something specific that kind of got you really into hiking? Yeah,
I would say during that goat farm time, I dated a man for a while, and his name was Dan, and he's the one who really kind of broadened my horizons in terms of hiking. I'd been to, you know, Spencer's Butte, of course, and I'd been to Mount Pisgah.
Yeah.
But he kind of took me out to like Blair Lake area.
Nice.
And we went out a lot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how my eyes became open to
the beauty that's around here. Very cool. What's one of your favorite hikes?
I would say one of my favorite hikes that I've done is, I really like a lot of hikes. It's hard for me to picture.
I know. I personally hate when people ask me that question, but
I don't know. I think I like different ones for different reasons.
Right, yeah. What's one that stands out particularly, like, I guess, emotionally?
Okay. Well, this one's kind of crazy. I do spend some time outside by myself, just because I'm kind of like, I like to self-reflect and stuff.
Yeah. So
do you remember the Solar Eclipse?
Yeah.
Yeah, during that time, I went out to an area I'd been before that Dan and I had actually camped at. It's called Marie Lake, in the Diamond Peak Wilderness.
Yep.
And so I drove out and I walked up to Marie Lake, and everyone else was doing these like big gatherings and wearing their stupid glasses. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to go have a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And so I went out to Marie Lake, and no one was there, and I was sitting at the lake just sort of writing my observations, and I felt the shift, you know, the sun kind of growing dimmer, and the birds sort of started calling because it was getting dark. And
they thought it was dusk in the middle of the day. That's so cool.
Yeah, and so I kind of waded out into Marie Lake because I really like cold water too.
Yeah.
So I waded out into Marie Lake and kind of felt the temperature get colder, and everything just like shh. So that was one of my favorite experiences.
That's neat.
I wasn't like in the full eclipse range though, so I kind of missed out on that, you know.
But because I was in town, so I didn't get that either, but I still felt like there was this moment of just like stillness.
Like what is happening?
It was cool. I can't imagine having experience like the full darkness eclipse. I think that would have been really neat. But
yeah. Maybe next time.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess what are some lessons that you've learned through being in the outdoors and experiencing hiking and backpacking?
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest lesson is to perseverance, and that's emotionally and physically. Mm-hmm. So when you're out in the outdoors and you're going through pain, physical pain, and you're feeling uncertainty because you don't know where you're at and you've never been in this area before, mm-hmm. I think it's important to keep moving through those emotions, and rather than letting them kind of paralyze you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like that. Oh, I guess I wanted to ask is, how did you lose all of the weight? Was it through hiking or just in general, just being more active?
Yeah, I would say it's through hiking mm-hmm. mainly. Also, I started smoking cigarettes.
Okay.
Which calls the appetite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not all light and love over here,
Hey, whatever works.
I'm not condoning smoking cigarettes, but I'm just saying it did help.
Yeah. And I guess you weren't binge drinking as much also, probably, right? Yeah. So that helps.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't necessarily start hiking as a health journey, but they find that it really helps with their health journey, and then they really get inspired and they continue doing it, and they're like, wow, I feel stronger mentally and physically, and I'm losing weight, I'm getting more fit, and it's all around this amazing experience, I guess.
Yeah, of just noticing how it makes you feel mm-hmm. and wanting to feel that way again.
I think a lot of us with addiction pasts kind of experience that when we first discover hiking. It's that initial, oh my goodness, this is so epic, and then we have to do it over and over and over again, addiction issues. But hey, hiking is a healthy addiction,
right? Or so they say, but yes.
Right. We'll just keep telling ourselves that. This is why it's called Hikers Anonymous. Because we all need it. This is the safe space to talk about our hiking addiction.
I just can't stop hiking.
I can't stop hiking.
It's sunny out. I need to go outside. I need to go on a hike.
Really, that's truly, especially in the Pacific Northwest, though, that's I feel how all of us are. We're we see the sun in the morning, and then we're where can I, how many hours do I have? Where can I go hiking to, I don't know, it just becomes this, almost feeling of desperation, mm-hmm. I gotta go.
I gotta get out there.
Especially when you check this time of year. It's February. If you're listening to this later, it's February. So this time of year, I especially feel that because I look at the weather and it's I'm not seeing any sunny days for another, week or 10 days. And then you get a sunny day and you're I'm dropping everything and I'm going out because you don't know when you're gonna have another nice day. Oh, it's hard sometimes.
And then you get out there and you're smelling all the smells and hearing the birds and the fresh air, and you're
incredible.
Yeah.
You're reinvigorated. Yeah, totally. I love that feeling. And when you haven't had that for a while, it's I start feeling very down, and sometimes, I haven't gone hiking for a week or 10 days, and I'm really down, and I'm wondering, why am I feeling this way? And then I'm oh, I haven't been on a hike in 10 days. That's probably why,
Time to go get my fix.
Yeah. Sometimes you just don't realize how much you need it.
Because it doesn't cost any money.
Yeah.
Except for gas.
Besides the gas to get there, it is one of the cheapest addictions you can have.
I oftentimes feel bad about, thinking about inner city people and people who don't have access to nature. And I think about that and I'm I feel so sad for,
oh yeah.
I feel lucky for myself, but also sad.
super, super lucky. Yeah, if you think about like people that, you know, live in New York or grow up in New York or something like that, Chicago, there isn't really anything near there, right? Yeah. Oh, good point. I mean, you might have some trees and stuff at like parks, but it's definitely not the same as, I mean, we have it so easy. We can, even if you just go to Spencer's Butte, it's what, 10 minutes from downtown, 15 minutes from downtown, and you feel like you're out, you know, way out of town, which is so incredible. And what is currently one of your favorite things about hiking?
I would say currently I'm working on identifying plants and, you know, what's edible.
Yes.
Taking pictures of flowers. What is this flower called? What is this flower called?
Oh, and the flower season's coming up, so that's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mushrooms, stuff like that. I just like to kind of learn about it and kind of like dissect it and name things and even learn about like what's going on inside of the plants.
Very cool. Okay. Oh, how fun! So, have you gone mushroom hunting a lot this past fall and winter?
I went only one time this fall, and it was actually a good trip.
Yeah.
The mushrooms were late this year.
Yeah.
But I did find some kind of lower than I normally find them.
Okay.
And yeah, I just kind of came upon this like beautiful cluster that was like, it looked like a diamond on the forest floor. There was like, I was one corner of the diamond, and then there was like 3 clusters of chanterelles.
Oh wow.
Big old clusters kind of popping up. And
amazing. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Fiddlehead ferns are coming up soon.
Yes.
Are you going to be harvesting?
Well, I might. I've tried them one time.
Okay. I heard you can steam them, and they're kind of like broccoli-ish.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. For me, they were like fibery asparagus.
Oh, okay. Asparagus. Okay, interesting. Yeah.
But they were
good?
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Yeah. Cool. How fun. And then, wildflowers will be coming up, so that'll be...
You can eat a shooting star.
Oh, I didn't know that. Nice. I'm assuming they're sweet?
They're kind of like beet, like astringent.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
You can eat violets.
Yep, I knew that. Yep.
Have you tried one?
I have, yes. Yeah, they're good on salad. Really good on salad, yeah. Oh, fun. And then after that is berries. Berry season. That's always great. Huckleberries and salmon berries. Is there like a specific book or app or something that you use to identify? Yeah.
I think my sister actually bought me a book because she moved to Oregon with me after I moved here. So we've been doing a lot of outdoor adventures together.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
And so she bought me a book because she's a very supportive sister. And it's like Northwest Foraging, and
Yes, I have that one too. It's a great one.
I'm trying to remember the author though.
I don't know. Couldn't tell ya.
But yeah, there's a lot of like good illustrations and
nice. And it's not super thick. I like books that you can take with you on the hike, because I know I have a plant book that's like, you know, has all glossy pages, so it's super heavy and it's like this thick, so it's like you're not taking that with you on a hike. You're gonna take a picture of the plant and identify it later. But the foraging book is small enough that you can take with you, which is cool. Okay, is there a message that you would like to share with listeners? Like, could be anything from like inspirational quote or a specific place they should visit, or tip on how to get started in the outdoors, or anything really.
Well, I think I would just go back to, you know, perseverance. Like, just keep going. Whether you're going through a hard time emotionally or a hard time physically, you know, just try and move through the emotions. I know it's not always possible, but I think I've kind of, coming from my, you know, rough past into a, you know, very happy present, I would say that I'm really glad that I have continued, you know, through everything I've been through.
Yeah.
And so that's important, whether you're on the trail or just living life.
That's very true. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the trail can definitely, like, it's very healing too, you know, and if you just keep moving forward, whether it be on the trail or in life, it's a healing process for sure.
Yeah. It's like you can find serenity out in the woods, you know.
Oh yeah.
Away from the noise of civilization.
Yeah, and everyday life. What's an adventure that you're looking forward to this year?
Well, coming up shortly, I should be going on a trip to Potato Hill with a local club called Obsidians.
Very cool.
And so I'm excited to do more snow sports because I bought some snowshoes and I don't get to use them as often as I'd like.
Yep.
So.
Any summer adventures that you have planned? Like backpacking or anything like that?
I don't think no, not necessarily.
Not yet, at least. Yeah.
I would hope to. I get caught up working and being busy, so.
Right.
Yeah. I don't backpack that much. I've only been on 2.
Oh, okay.
What about you?
What do I have planned this summer? A few backpacking trips. I'd like to go back to the Wallowas. And then just more local stuff. By local, I mean like, Cascades and Bend area, that kind of stuff. So just a few short trips. I'd also like to do Yoakum Ridge on Mount Hood. So I'm excited about that. I was hoping to do that last year, but did some other stuff instead. So Yoakum Ridge is still on the list. And then same with Table Lake in the Jefferson Wilderness. So super excited about those. And those will just be like 1 or 2 nighters, so short trips. And then the Wallowas will be a little bit longer because it's so far away. So you got to kind of make that worthwhile.
Well, yeah. I kind of envision, I fantasize about just leaving every week on my 2 days off and, going on short backpacking trips. But it's is that going to happen?
Make it happen.
Okay. Thanks.
I mean, well, and that's the thing. You don't have to go every weekend, because honestly that does get overwhelming. Having done it personally, because you're gone basically, let's say you leave on your Friday after work, and then you're gone for 2 whole days, and you come back and you have to work another week. That's exhausting if you do that every weekend. So
that's good advice. I mean, as someone who's
definitely don't overdo it, because that's easy to do, especially with us in the Pacific Northwest, like we were talking about earlier with the sun. In the summer, it almost feels like this panic, like I gotta get out every weekend or else I'm gonna miss the summer, right? Because summer is short. It's spring, snow is melting, then we have a few weeks of no wildfires, then we have smoke, and then it's fall, right? So it's it's this panic feeling of I gotta get out there and experience everything, but I mean you don't, because generally it's gonna, unless it burns down, it'll be there next year, so it's you don't have to do everything in one season.
Maybe I could plan 1 or 2 then and
exactly, yeah. And then fit it in when you can. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thanks.
Yeah. And it sounds like you have weekdays off, so that's easier with the permits for Central Oregon. That's what I found with, I did a loop near Mink Lake. I started at Elk Lake Trailhead along the Cascade Lakes Highway, and then I went along the PCT, and then went over to Mink Lake, and then over to Horse Lake. There's a bunch of little lakes in that area, and you can make loops and stuff like that, and it was really easy to get a permit midweek, so that's good.
Yeah, I have something going on in my favor.
Yes, for sure. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Riccie. It was great to have you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, if you have an inspirational story about how the outdoors positively impacted your life, please send a short synopsis to hikeoregon@hikeoregon.net and put in the subject line podcast guest. Thank you so much for listening. Stay safe and happy trails.